On this episode of In the Fight, we see firsthand how the Afghan Army conducted operations prior to the presidential elections. Afghans reflect on their voting experience. Special Forces personnel leap from the skies during Exercise Foal Eagle. We meet a Marine that loves to play in the water. And Airmen return home to tears of joy. Despite a continuous show of coalition force, insurgent activity continues to rear its ugly head from time to time. Army Sergeant Eric Wilterdink talks to a Marine First Lieutenant to get some perspective on the situation in Helmand Province.
I mean, the majority of Afghans are actually pretty friendly. I mean, you'll come into their village, you come into their fields, and they'll give you, kind of a greeting, hi, how are you? They ask you why you're here, of course, and when we got into the area, the atmospherics were pretty good. People were setting up the bazaar, a lot of people out farming their fields. But then things started to change. We noticed a bunch of people, a lot of motorcycle traffic. Some guys came in and they started to shoo the civilians away, which is, typically a sign that we're about to take some sort of contact, or the Taliban just doesn't want the locals to be talking to us. And then, shortly after, we had a conversation with a couple of local nationals. We noticed people starting to clear out of the area, and that's when the first shot happened. It was shot against the fire team that I was with. We were, just kind of wrapping up a discussion when they made that initial round, impact the side of one of the compounds.
Because right now, whatever evidence of that fire that's there is going away and it's being called. I want those trucks to get down there very quickly.
Yeah, 303 shell casing. That's kind of special. That's not a weapon you typically see out here. I mean, with that, you can prosecute that, for biometrics. You can see if there's a fingerprint on it. I think it was probably the same guy, probably another machine gun team. Yeah, they started shooting, quite heavily, and we re-engaged. They weren't near civilians this time. That was a problem we had the first time with engaging with all of our firepower. They actually pushed out to an area where it was more advantageous for us than for them, so we were able to engage with our 50 caliber and our 240s from the trucks, and I think that kind of ended their willingness to fight for the day, getting those weapon systems oriented on them. So, once that was completed, that basically, confirmed some suspicions we had about the area, and so, we went back around and we conducted night operations in adjacent areas, again, looking for those, same types of suspicious activity, employing some of our thermals to see greater distances without having to put ourselves at too much risk. So, night patrols, OPs, just to develop that pattern of life in those areas. The whole purpose of us being here is to protect the Bastion Leatherneck complex, which is supporting, the transition between like NATO, ISAF, and then the Afghan forces. So the purpose of us going down there and, yeah, we get shot at, yeah, we go into some uncomfortable areas. But the whole thing is that, that provides us that breathing space. It keeps the enemy pushed back that much further, and it disrupts their operations so they can't fully focus on either, this base or ANSAF forces, things like that. Again, giving them time so they can prepare and they can take care of those threats on their own time.
Days before the Afghan presidential elections, the Afghan National Army conducted several operations to secure one of the most volatile districts in Helmand Province. During this time, NATO Channel correspondent Lawrence Cameron managed to embed with the ANA and was able to see firsthand how these endeavors allowed the people of Afghanistan to come out and vote.
Sangin Helmand, once dubbed the most dangerous place on earth, has long been a hotbed of the insurgency. The international coalition and the Afghan National Army have suffered heavy losses here, many lives being claimed through the use of improvised explosive devices, or IEDs. British forces were based here, then the Americans. Now, however, it's the Afghan National Army that's taking the fight to the enemy. The infantry are closely followed by the explosive ordnance disposal teams, who sweep through the surrounding villages, performing controlled detonations of IEDs.
نن ورځ زموږ د دوهمې پلې لواء جستمو په مشترک ډول سره د ملي پولیسو او د جستمونو د کمانډو او همداراز د ضربتي قطعې په حمایه باندې نن موږ عملیات کړل سهار په 4 بجو چې دشمن د ساحه مکمل فرار کړی دی. Enemy shooting over there. Enemy coming in this way.
So this is through this tunnel?
Yeah, that's still. موضوع زموږ د دوهمې لواء د شپږم کنډک جستمونو د صحیح تصفیه او تلاشي کړي دي او ان شاء الله د دشمن موضوعګانې موږ ټول لخرابو او خلکو ته دا اطمینان ورکوو چې دلته په خپل ورځني ژوند ته باید دوی په ارامه فضا کې دوی خپل ژوند ته ادامه ورکړي او د اردو ځواکونه نن ورځ د دې توان لري چې په هر هغه ساحه کې دشمن دی هلته موږ دشمن تعقیب کوو دشمن له منځه یوسو او خلکو ته یو ارامه ژوند زمینه مساعده کوو.
Clearing operations like these are now entirely Afghan planned and Afghan led and appear to be increasingly successful, though not all devices are found in time. The driver of an Afghan army Humvee was killed earlier today.
We are in the opening time for the election. We try to clear this area, make sure that people can freely come to the polling sites and use their rights to choose the candidate. So this will help them to feel free and come to the polling sites.
The Taliban have carried out attacks to try to disrupt the elections countrywide. Here in Sangin, the discovery of so many homemade bombs has at least reduced that threat. This is Lawrence Cameron reporting for the NATO channel.
Hi, I'm Airman First Class Alexander Guerin. I'm currently stationed at Al Udeid Air Base. Just wanted to give a shout out to all my friends back home in Altamont, Kansas. Thanks for all your support. I hope to see you soon.
Hi, my name is Sergeant Savannah Thomas Bell from Fort Bragg, North Carolina. Currently stationed in Afghanistan. Want to wish my husband, Sergeant James Bell, a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful late birthday. I miss you. Can't wait to see you, babe. We will home soon.
Hi, my name's Adam Dawson, serving at Al Udeid from Joint Base Charleston. I'd like to say hi to my wife and daughter, Michelle and Vega. I miss you both very much, and I can't wait to see you.
Coming up, Afghans reflect on this year's presidential election. And Special Forces personnel leap from the skies during Exercise Foal Eagle. Check out DividsHub.net for the latest accurate and reliable information when In the Fight returns. How many countries make up the North Atlantic Treaty Organization? The answer when we return.
I lost my brother Frank in the Battle of Iwo Jima.
He served on 4 combat tours.
In Vietnam.
In Iraq.
Afghanistan.
There's a life that was lost behind that pin.
I put it on for my wife.
For my husband.
My brother.
My dad.
My son.
We wear it because we honor those that we lost.
To learn more about the stories behind the Gold Star pins, visit goldstarpins.org.
Balakatan, meaning shoulder to shoulder. We're out here with our counterparts, our allies. We're getting to train, shoulder to shoulder with them.
So it's one of the time that we band together as one.
We all have a passion to serve this community together in unison.
It opens everything. It breaks the barrier.
From combat-related stress to the day-to-day stressors of life.
This package is going to be completed.
This is the 4th time this week.
Stress can affect every Marine and Marine family. The De-Stress Line provides anonymous counseling for Marines and Marine families when it's needed most. If you're feeling the effects of stress, call today and let us help you win your personal battles.
How many countries make up the North Atlantic Treaty Organization? The answer is C, 28. In Afghanistan, votes are being counted in the presidential and provincial council elections. No official announcement as to who will become the next president of Afghanistan will be made for many weeks. NATO Channel correspondent Jack Somerville hit the streets to ask the people of Afghanistan about the voting process.
With the recent Afghan elections drawing in an estimated 7 million voters, the atmosphere in Kabul is one of excitement and relief.
خب روز انتخابات ما گفتم میتونیم یک جشن ملی که انتقال قدرت به از یک رئیس جمهور به رئیس جمهور منتخب کشور و چنین وضعیت و چنین اخطاریایی که از طرف مخالفین از طرف طالبان برای کشور داده میشد بر نیروهای امنیتی داده میشد و تهدید میشد و آن هم تهدیدهای گسترده‌ای که داشتن اونا تونستن مهار بکنن.
As the initial results from individual polling stations are announced to the public, some questions have been raised concerning fraudulent activities such as ballot box stuffing.
این شخص یگان دانه پکې پیدا کېده چې درغلي وشوله خو د هغه شکایت هم وشو او امنیتي ځواکونو ته هم وسپارل شو. موږ دغه د لاسه کېدل دغه هم وکړل. نور خو زمونږ پیام دا ده د انتخاباتو کمیسیون لپاره چې دغه درغلیګانې خو ډېرې زیاتې دي په افغانستان کې فساد اداري. موږ غواړو هغه څوک چې واقعاً په خپله رای کامیاب شوی یا مغه باید کامیاب شي او درغلي پکې ونه شي.
موږ غواړو کمیسیون مستقل انتخابات نه چې مقصد هر یو رئیس جمهور چې خو مقصد موږ په آینده کې سوله غواړو او دغه هدف دی موږ.
While the time-consuming process of ballot counting continues, the Independent Election Commission is keen to reassure voters of the election's legitimacy.
شک نیست تقلبات و تخطی‌ها موجود است ولی با گفته میتونم که گوشمار هستند. بالای روند کدام تأثیر ندارد. به خاطر رسیدگی به شکایات و جلوگیری از تقلبات که از رای سالم باید جدا شود برای این مکانیزم‌های موجود است نهاد موجود است به نام کمیسیون شکایات انتخاباتی.
The winner of the presidential race must get more than 50% of the votes. Otherwise, the elections go into a second round next month. This is Jack Somerville for the NATO Channel.
During this year's Key Resolve Foal Eagle exercise, Special Forces personnel are conducting free-fall training operations with their Korean counterparts. This covert insertion method provides minimal risk to both the aircraft and the jumpers. Air Force Staff Sergeant Jael Laborn brings us this story.
In training or in real-world operations, members of the Special Forces community consistently perform at the highest levels when called upon. Free-fall team leader Captain David expresses how he remains balanced and driven to be an effective leader.
What motivated me to join Special Operations was the professionalism of the soldiers, as well as the mission that they're charged with. The most challenging aspect of the job is leading the high caliber of soldier that is in Special Forces and living up to their standard of leadership and executing at that level.
Captain David's team performs high-altitude, high-opening jumps to join their Republic of Korea Special Forces counterparts on the ground.
After exiting the bird, we get into a stack, which is an organized pattern for command and control of the element. Identify the drop zone. Once we hit the ground, assemble, maintain security, and move on to our follow-on mission.
Captain David shares what he believes is the most vital element for his team's success.
The most important part of the camaraderie within an ODA or Operational Detachment Alpha is the trust. And that's not something that you can build over a matter of days or weeks. It's something that you build over months and years of working together, knowing everything about them and they know everything about you.
Staff Sergeant Jael Laborn, Kunsan Air Base, Korea.
If you're an Air Force pilot and have no option but to eject over an ocean, you are now at the mercy of the sea, waiting for a rescue party to come to your aid. Air Force Tech Sergeant Lance Daigle shows us how air crewmen are learning to survive with not much more than a life preserver.
Water survival refresher training is a necessity for aircrew members who fly over large bodies of water.
Water survival refresher is for all aviators that could potentially go down in or over an ocean. What we do is we spend time refreshing them on the familiarity with their rafts, their equipment, how to use it, survival techniques in the water.
Making the training as real as possible prepares the aviators for worst-case scenarios.
We'd like to train in high-stress environments because it allows for them to lock the memory of what it is to do and how it is to do the particular task into their mind. And when they enter an environment that is high stress again, they can reproduce that example of what they did the first time.
Keeping the students safe during their training is an important factor.
The students do highly enjoy this course because of the environmental pool and what we can offer for training. We're not able to do this kind of training in the ocean when the winds and the waves are that high, but we can do it here and simulate it and shut it down in less than a minute in case there's an emergency. And they all highly appreciate that.
Tech Sergeant Lance Daigle, RAF Mildenhall, United Kingdom.
Explosive ordnance disposal technicians have a special means of dealing with an IED threat from a safe position before putting a soldier in harm's way. Army Sergeant Ricky Perez takes us to Camp Bondsteel, where service members are training with the latest technology.
Soldiers of the 759th EOD Company out of Fort Irwin, California, performed vehicle-borne IED or VBID procedures on Camp Bondsteel, Kosovo, to refresh their team leader skills. The procedures included assistance from the 615th Military Police Company and their K-9 unit as they cleared the way for EOD's first responder to investigate the scene.
It's a PackBot. It's good for like this type of scenario, a VBID type scenario, because it's got a two-stage arm. You can reach it into windows and get it inside the vehicle and get a better view.
After they provided reconnaissance on the vehicle using its cameras, the EOD soldiers used the PackBot's claw to enter the VBID remotely. This procedure allowed the soldiers to investigate the interior from a distance, giving them standoff in case of a functioning IED. The last procedure, however, required a human soldier to get involved, wearing an EOD-8 bomb suit built to help resist an IED explosion. With the bomb suit on, the EOD tech could accomplish further tasks to help in neutralizing the threat.
In order to be as safe as possible, we like to do everything remotely, and either by robot or rope are the best ways to do that. So right now what I'm trying to do is uncover my main charge using the rope, just in case there's any booby traps or anything hooked to it.
The VBID scenario procedures also included an actual physical search of the vehicle to assess the EOD tech's skill level under pressure. Reporting from Camp Bondsteel, Kosovo, I'm Army Sergeant Ricky Perez.
I'm Captain Rivera, 82nd Sustainment Brigade, CMRE, stationed Kandahar, Afghanistan. I want to say hi to my wife and my daughter Amanda and Inmaris, also my parents back in Puerto Rico. I'll be soon. Nos vemos, cuídense. Nos vemos pronto.
Hi, I'm Command Sergeant Major Alberto Delgado from the 82nd Sustainment Brigade CMRE. I'm currently deployed to Afghanistan. I'd like to give a shout out to my two boys, Kobe Delgado and John Delgado in Florida. Love you guys.
I'm Soren Hauser from the 82nd Sustainment Brigade, CMRE, and I want to give a shout out to my husband James and my son KJ, and my mom, my dad, my sister, and my brother back in Atlanta, Georgia. I love you guys.
Coming up, we meet a Marine that loves to play in the water. And we'll showcase some of the best photos from our service members as In the Fight, presented by Divots, continues. Marines call the amphibious assault vehicle by what nickname? The answer when we return.
With the new Military 24/7 app from Divots, you turn your favorite mobile device into a window to the front lines. Connect with your nation's finest men and women through our video and photography archives and stay up to date with news reported directly from service members. Quickly share information and breaking stories with friends via Facebook, Twitter, or email. News, photos, video. Your military 24/7.
I want to give a shout out to my family and friends.
I want to send a shout out to my husband,
to my parents,
My family back home.
I'd like to give a shout out to my girlfriend.
To my family and friends in Lansing, Michigan.
To my family out in Tucson, Arizona.
My beautiful wife and children in Des Moines, Iowa.
To everybody in Texas.
In York, Pennsylvania.
Colorado Springs, Colorado.
Chicago, Illinois.
Harrisonburg, Virginia.
Orlando, Florida. Oceanside, California.
And Fort Leonard Wood, Missouri.
I love you guys. I miss you. And I hope I'll see you soon.
When you put on the uniform, you are held to a higher standard.
A lot of times, you're not going to know what's going to be thrown at you, so you need to be ready for anything.
Stress can affect every Marine and Marine family.
It's very hard for me to have a career when we're always moving around.
We have the same bills that everybody else does.
And you never want to let your staff NCOs down.
The De-Stress Line provides anonymous counseling for Marines and Marine families when it's needed most. It takes courage to ask for help. Call today and let us help you win your personal battles.
Marines call the amphibious assault vehicle by what nickname? The answer is B, Amtrak. As kids, we all have fond memories of bath time. Rubber ducks and G.I. Joes were typical bath time toys. But for one Marine Sergeant, playing in the water takes on a whole new meaning. Marine Sergeant Antonio Vincent dives in to tell us more.
This may not sound like your ordinary day at the beach, but for Marine Sergeant Gregory Davis, this is the tune to preparation. Sergeant Davis is the crew chief for the Amphibious Assault Platoon of 3rd Track from Camp Pendleton, California, and he is preparing his crew to do what they like to call splash.
We're gonna give us the okay. You're gonna close the hatch up, and what you're gonna do is unhook it from here, pull up, and once you get down, you're gonna lock it into place, so then once the waves hit, you'll be good, all right?
While the vehicle's in the water, he assures that all elements are working properly and they return safe to the ship.
Once you get on, we gotta be careful and make sure that the ship is bowed down to the right level, so when we get on, we don't smack any of our finals, because if we smack a final too hard, it can end up ripping off. So what we do is wait. Once we get the green light, we gun it on. Once we get on, then we'll let them ground land it.
Once all vehicles have entered the ship and the hatches are closed for the day, the Marines take time out to show Sergeant Davis that even though they are far away from home, he still has a family, a bond of brotherhood that will always remain.
He gets to see us grow and mature into, NCOs or, soon-to-be NCOs or, crew chiefs, as we call it. It's kind of nice to see that pleasure go back on him, see something we did that makes him happy.
Dear Sergeant Davis.
Army Sergeant Antonio Vincent, Pohang, Korea.
Happy B-Day with one knee. Hello.
With budget cuts happening across all branches of the military, service members are figuring out ways to cut costs every way they can. Air Force Tech Sergeant Eric Kraft shows us how airmen at Aviano Air Base are doing their part to reduce expenses.
Runway lights illuminate a path for pilots to follow when taking off or landing during hours of darkness or inclement weather. It's an integral safety feature for Aviano pilots at the only U.S. fighter base south of the Alps.
You have a knife?
And every day, airmen like Staff Sergeant Blake Sumner do an airfield lighting check to make sure those lights are in good working order.
Things that are knocked over or we find that have burnt out, we replace. If we don't have the parts, we initiate a work order, we order parts, and we get those in as soon as we can to keep the runway up and running.
As part of a U-Safety sponsored project, they're replacing the broken, elevated taxi lights with new flush-mounted lights.
We don't have to worry about changing out the lights that are broken, so that's less man hours that we're spending replacing lights that have been knocked over or broken.
But Aviano's electrical shop isn't just limiting saving money to the base flight line. It's also cutting costs the old-fashioned way, with a program called Operation Right Lights.
With Operation Right Lights, we're ultimately reducing about half of unnecessary street lights, parking lot lights, and just the extra lights around base.
What the Aviano electrical shop is doing is nothing new or innovative, but the cost savings in the tens of thousands of dollars with something as simple as turning off lights It's a step in the right direction when it comes to finding ways to trim costs at military bases worldwide. Reporting from Aviano Air Base, Italy, I'm Tech Sergeant Eric Kraft.
There's nothing more moving than seeing families reunited after being apart for so long. Airman First Class Candace Williams witnessed airmen from the 380th Air Expeditionary Wing getting to see their families once again, and brings us this story.
It's an extraordinary week for the 4th Fighter Wing family. The homecoming of a group of airmen in F-15E Strike Eagles is the talk of Team Seymour. The airmen are returning from the 380th Air Expeditionary Wing after enhancing and supporting regional security and stability in Southwest Asia. With all the different stories each airman brings, there's one common ground. It's all about that first embrace. Airmen are hugging their spouse and children for the first time in months. Some are holding their babies for the first time ever, and others have made it home just in time.
I miss my family. I got the new baby on the way, and I was just excited to be able to experience that again, just like I did with my 2 other kids.
Staff Sergeant Joseph Cordero is one of those who came back in time to see his wife give birth to their 3rd child. The reunion was full of hugs and tears as Sergeant Cordero's fears of missing his last child's birth floated away. Reporting from Seymour Johnson Air Force Base, I'm Airman First Class Candace Williams.
DVIDS is a 24/7 operation that provides a timely, accurate, and reliable connection between the media and the military serving worldwide. Through a network of over 200 portable satellite transmitters around the globe and a distribution hub in Atlanta, Georgia, DVIDS gives you access to the front lines with live and archived broadcast video, still imagery, and print products. Visit our website at dividshub.net and search through our enormous video and photo library. Register on our website to gain complete access to high-definition content, along with breaking news alerts and webcasts from top military officials. For questions or comments about In the Fight or DVIDS, you can email us at ondemand@dividshub.net or follow us on Twitter and Facebook. As we close, we feature some of the best photos that DVIDS has to offer, as we listen to Eddie Horst's composition, Pangea. See you next time, In the Fight.